guys, welcome back to my channel. I feel like it's been quite a long time since I've actually sat down, recorded or even edited a video to put out to you guys, so for that I am sorry. I just feel if I try and push putting videos out then it becomes inauthentic, so I only really want to film when something's really inspiring me or I'm really excited to share something with you, of which I am today, and that is a book review. And I know I've done a lot of book reviews for most of this year, so apologies if that's not been your thing. I will maybe do a little video for going into the new year, but we will have new vlogs next year. We are going on holiday next year, so stay tuned for that. But yes, getting into the point of today's video, and that is a book review on the Matzah Ball by Jean Meltzer. And I had had this book since last year. I bought 2 Hanukkah books last year, and I read one last year, one this year, and this is the one that I knew about first, I would say. It was my first introduction to sort of that chick lit romance, very Hallmark style cookie cutter story, but with a Hanukkah twist. And usually I stay well away from anything romance, anything, you know, that chick lit type feel, but for some reason the Hanukkah ones really draw me in, and so yeah, let me read you the blurb on the back and I will tell you some of my thoughts. It says, "Oi to the world. Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt is a nice Jewish girl with a shameful secret. She loves Christmas. For a decade she's hidden her career as a Christmas romance novelist from her family. Her talent has made her a bestseller, even as her chronic illness has always kept the kind of love she writes about out of reach. But when her diversity-conscious publisher insists she writes a Hanukkah romance, her well of inspiration suddenly runs dry. Hanukkah's not magical. It's not merry. It's not Christmas. Desperate not to lose her contract, Rachel's determined to find her muse at the Matzah Ball, a Jewish music celebration on the last night of Hanukkah, even if it means working with her summer camp archenemy, Jacob Greenberg. Though Rachel and Jacob haven't seen each other since they were kids, their grudge still glows brighter than a menorah, but as they spend more time together, Rachel finds herself drawn to Hanukkah and Jacob in a way she never expected. Maybe this holiday of lights will be the spark she needed to set her heart ablaze." So, a lot going on at the back of the book. So our main character in this book is Rachel, and she was brought up Jewish. Her father is a rabbi. Her mother obviously not only serves the shul that they run, but also, or synagogue, if you're not familiar, but she's also a gynecologist and very well to do in New York in her own rights. And so I would say there's probably a lot of pressure, Rachel growing up, to do the best for the congregation, to look the best, to be the very prime example of a rabbi's daughter. And Rachel hides this very big secret that her actual career is to write romance Christmas novels. So kind of the same vein as this, but for Christmas, and she is very, very successful. She goes by a different name, by the name of Margaret Cross, and she's had some very successful books on the back of that. They've gone to films, and she loves Christmas. She loves the lights, she loves the decorations, the food. Like, she is all about Christmas, and she's always seen Christmas to be this more magical aspect, probably because of, you know, the very typical Christmas films and TV shows that come up each year. It paints a very happy Christmas picture, and probably she gravitated to that because there wasn't that much Hanukkah representation growing up. And I think that's probably something that a lot of us Jewish kids can probably relate to. If you couldn't tell, we actually celebrate Christmas, because I'm Jewish, Darren's side of the family's not, so we do both. Growing up, we never celebrated Hanukkah. It just wasn't something we did. We always had the Christmas tree every year, and I very much celebrated Christmas growing up. So did my grandparents. But we were always, you know, reminded of our Jewish roots. And so only since I've actually moved into my own house and had, you know, started a family with Darren, that we've really embraced the Jewish side. There were some links that I could see, not only between myself and Rachel, but also some of the things the author Jean says right at the end of the book really sort of I could relate to. And so we follow Rachel as some of her work kind of starts to dry up, really. She doesn't know what to do next, and her publishers come to her and say, "We want you to write a Hanukkah book, you know, you're Jewish, this is perfect. But obviously they don't know that. Obviously Rachel hasn't really been invested in it and celebrated it probably as much as they would have expected for her over the years, because she has been so heavily invested in the Christmas side of things. And the sort of other sideline storyline within this is that Rachel actually suffers with CFS, or chronic fatigue syndrome, and so we find out what it's like living with that. It's something that I've heard bits and pieces about, but it's not something I've thankfully lived with. It's not something anyone close to me has experienced, so I felt like we were kind of being educated as well a little bit within this. The author herself, I believe, suffers with CFS, so even though she said Rachel is not her, she pulls a lot of her own experiences into this book. So that was interesting side of it, and I felt made the book, gave it more depth to the storyline rather than just Rachel trying to get a Hanukkah story for one of her books. It sort of added that element of, can she actually do this? Because there is a very physical reason that could be pulling her back from achieving this. And so she decides to agree to do the Hanukkah book, but she wants to go to the infamous Matzah ball that is about to take place in New York. It's all set in New York, which a lot of the time these Hanukkah books typically are. I mean, I've actually only read 2 and both of those were, so it's very much a North America Ashkenazi point of view on these. And the Matzah ball is actually being run by a multi-millionaire who she actually was kind of like boyfriend and girlfriend with back when they were at Jewish summer camp, back when they were like 12, and she holds a real grudge over him. She felt like he sort of like made a fool of her, and you know, she ended up standing him up at the dance at the end of the summer camp. But he is going to be her only ticket to find out and get some inspiration of what it's like during Hanukkah for all these other different families, and you know what the Matzah ball is going to be like, and try and get some inspiration for her new book. And he is her only ticket, and he just so happens to come and stay with her parents for Shabbat one weekend. And so she tries to, you know, get her way in there and look like the good Jewish girl and try and get a ticket. She finds it's not that easy to get the ticket. The only way that she can get a ticket to the ball is if she helps volunteer to help set up and run the ball. And with her CFS, you know, that is going to be quite a big deal, because it's going to be a lot of both manual physical labour, but also mentally it's going to be quite draining for her. But nonetheless, she agrees, and that's when we follow her, you know, volunteering at the Matzah ball. We find out more about her and Jacob's relationship. We actually get Jacob's point of view from this, which I also really enjoyed as well, because you saw the other side of what he experienced at summer camp. He also holds some weird grudge over her, and as the book unfolds, we sort of find out where this real grudge came from for both of them. And we also see, you know, their perspectives on each other. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. For me, it was one that I'm not reading very quickly lately, but I could pick it up like after a few days and remember everything really well, and I was straight back into it. And you know, when I was reading it, I was reading quite large chunks of it at a time, so I really did enjoy this. It does have a lot of sort of Hebrew and Yiddish intertwined in it. Some of it I knew, some of it I had to Google, and so I felt like I was learning a bit throughout this book. And I feel like even if you're not Jewish, it's a romance book at the end of the day. If you want, you know, something different around the holiday time, this might be one to pick up for next year. And if you want to learn more about the Jewish culture, then like this is a fun way of finding out more about Hanukkah and, you know, the festive period. At the back there's an author's note, and she says, and the reality is that there will be many Jews reading the Matzah ball who feel more comfortable with Christmas than Jewish traditions. And that really like resonated with me, and it is quite sad actually, because I think there's quite a chunk of Jewish population that do probably grow up and are more familiar with Christian and Christmas traditions than there are with Jewish traditions and Hanukkah, just because of probably the area they grew up in. You know, I did not grow up in a very heavily Jewish area. I didn't have a lot of my Jewish family that close around me, and so I was heavily brought up with Christian and Christmas values. You know, the nativity at school, when you do like the Christingle and all the typical and very much British values. You know, it is first and foremost, Britain is a Christian country, and so that was what I grew up with, and there's nothing wrong with that. But obviously I just wasn't quite as aware of the Jewish traditions, and there were bits and pieces that I did know, obviously, from what my family told me, and obviously we did learn about different faiths at school, and Judaism was a big part of that, and I was always really proud, like when that came up, to be like, yes, I am part Jewish. And yeah, so that sentence really resonated with me, and I think probably quite a lot of readers might resonate with, especially if you don't live in a typically Jewish area. And like I said, this was very much that cookie cutter Hallmark style book where the actual storyline is very predictable, in the sense that obviously you've got the girl and the boy, but it could be really any two characters who are drawn to each other. You know that they both like each other. You see some very frustrating elements in the book where you like just like get over yourselves and like get together or like talk to each other because they're assuming the wrong things, and they almost get together and then they kind of spoil it, and then there's always some sort of, usually like more of an elderly figure in the book. In this case it's Jacob's grandmother Toby, who tries to like knock some sense into them both and see if they can get back together. It is very predictable. It is very sweet though, and like I said, the element that drew me into this was the whole Hanukkah Jewish element, and I really enjoyed getting to know the characters. I thought Mickey's character was also quite cool. He is from two female parents, and it was interesting to see how he was brought up. And obviously, just like any religion, no two families are going to bring people and their kids up the same, and so that was interesting to read about. And yeah, it was very sweet. And I have got another Hanukkah book for next year. I was thinking about reading, I mean, tonight's the 8th night of Hanukkah, so I feel like from tomorrow I'm going to be like in Christmas mode because we're a couple of days away from Christmas now. But I did get this. Oh, I literally did not know it was the same author. Okay, I didn't actually know that she did more than one Hanukkah book. I wonder which one came out first. Actually came out this year. I had no idea. So this is the 8 Heartbreaks of Hanukkah, and I'm going to save this for next year. So I've got a Hanukkah book on hand for next year. Yeah, there is another book by Jean Meltzer that you do get a taste of it at the end, Mr. Perfect on Paper, which is about like finding the perfect Jewish husband. So I'm fully invested in this woman's books now, and if you know of any other sort of Jewish Hanukkah related books, let me know because I can add them to my TBR for next year. They don't necessarily have to be romance. I have found a couple that might be like more murder mystery-esque, which I'm quite excited for. Yeah, hopefully I will get this video up so it's right around the festive period, and whatever you're celebrating this year, I hope you have a lovely time and a much needed rest. I know I will, and I will see you in my next video, possibly in the new year. So take care, guys.